You remember the exact number, $47,213. Not roughly, exactly. The way the screen looked when it hit zero, the smell of the coffee going cold, the sound your own voice made when you called your dad. That was 6 years ago. In your head, it happened 4 minutes ago. Welcome to a world that never learned how to forget. This isn't science fiction. It's a real, documented condition called Highly Superior Autobiographical Memory, HSAM, once known as hyperthymesia. In 2006, researchers at UC Irvine confirmed the first known case. A woman called AJ, later identified as Jill Price. Give her any random date, any Tuesday from 20 years back, and she can tell you what she wore, what she ate, what was on the news, and what day of the week it was. Scientists cross-checked her against decades of her own diaries. She was right almost every single time. New mnemonic tricks, no memory palace, just every day of her life, filed and retrievable on demand. Fewer than 100 people on the planet have ever been confirmed to have this. Price herself described living with it as nonstop, uncontrollable, and exhausting. Not a superpower, a flood that never lets up. So take that flood and point it directly at your bank account. Day one, it feels like a superpower. You never lose a receipt because you never need one. Every price you've ever paid is filed, exact, forever. You catch every bad deal instantly. You remember every interest rate you've ever signed. You spot an overcharge before the cashier finishes the sentence. Your friends start asking you to remember their pens. Cute, useful even. But by day 4, something else surfaces, not a fact, a feeling. The exact 5 seconds your stock portfolio crashed 18 months ago replays, the number on the screen, the specific word you shouted out loud. It plays back at full volume, unprompted, while you're standing in line for coffee. It doesn't fade like a normal memory. It replays at the same intensity as the day it happened, every single time. Multiply that by every financial regret you've ever had. The concert tickets you overpaid for in college, the coin you sold 2 days before it spiked, the loan you co-signed for a friend who vanished. None of it fades. It all stays at full emotional volume, filed alphabetically by amount of shame. By week 1, checking your bank balance doesn't feel like math anymore. It feels like grief with decimal points. By month 1, it isn't just your own memory that's a problem. It's everyone else's. Family dinners turn into audits. Your uncle still remembers in perfect detail the $400 you borrowed in 2019 and quietly never paid back. Except in this world, nobody forgets anything. So there's no plausible deniability left anywhere, ever. Marriages that survived on quietly letting go of who paid for what start collapsing. Because nothing gets quietly let go of anymore. Business partnerships dissolve mid-handshake. Once both people remember with total clarity, every time the other one lied about the numbers. This is where the science turns genuinely uncomfortable, because we already know what happens to a brain that can't let a financial wound close. It's called post-traumatic stress disorder, and it isn't hypothetical. In real trauma survivors, the mechanism meant to suppress a distressing memory simply fails. That mechanism lives in a region called the prefrontal cortex. The memory doesn't fade, it intrudes. It replays as if it's happening right now. Now imagine that exact failure isn't a disorder anymore. It's just how every brain works, permanently, about every debt, every betrayal, every dial. Forgiveness always required forgetting, at least a little. And forgetting just left the building. Zoom out far enough, and the same crack runs through entire nations. History already has a preview of this. After World War I, Germany was saddled with punishing war reparations. A debt so specific, so resented, it helped fuel the hyperinflation that followed, and the humiliation that set the stage for World War II, 2 decades later. That's what an unforgotten financial wound can do to a country, even with normal human forgetting still mostly intact. Now delete the mostly. In this world, no nation ever stops remembering exactly what it's owed, exactly who defaulted, exactly which currency collapsed, whose savings in exactly what year. Reparations never expire. Sanctions never soften. Every trade deal carries the full, unforgiven weight of every previous betrayal, going back centuries, remembered in perfect, granular detail by everyone at the table. Markets don't just crash, they seize up completely. Because trust requires the ability to stop flinching at the last collapse. And nobody here can stop flinching. Capital stops moving. Investment stops happening. Nobody lends because nobody has ever once forgotten a default. Civilization, it turns out, runs on a very specific kind of amnesia. The willingness to let an old debt, an old grudge, an old loss finally go quiet. Take that away and the economy doesn't slow down. It seizes, like a heart that forgot how to reset itself. Here's the twist real neuroscience already found, and it should make you feel a little better about your own leaky memory. People with real HSAM, like Joe Price, aren't better at everything. Tested on ordinary memory tasks, word lists, number strings, they score no differently than anyone else. Perfect autobiographical recall doesn't come with better judgment. If anything, it comes with less. In 2017, neuroscientists Blake Richards and Paul Franklin published a review in the journal Neuron. Their argument: forgetting isn't a glitch in the brain's design. It's a feature the brain actively builds and pays for. Richards argues something counterintuitive. Losing a memory isn't the brain failing. It's often the brain investing in a better way to decide what matters. Hold on to every irrelevant detail of every financial decision, and you can't generalize, can't adapt, can't tell which past loss is actually useful advice and which one is just noise, wearing the costume of a lesson. And here's the part that should really sting. You don't need hyperthymesia to feel this. Real research on the Great Depression generation found something remarkable. People who lived through the 1930s crash stayed measurably more afraid of the stock market for the rest of their lives. Some of them so scarred they sat out the entire boom of the 1950s. Ordinary human memory alone was already enough to cost a generation a fortune. So, here's the modern version of this whole nightmare, and you're probably already building it. 60% of people never delete a single photo or video from their phone. Screenshots of bad trades, dead crypto wallets, that one stock chart from the crash. The one you can't stop revisiting. They just sit there, backed up, synced, permanent. Researchers call this digital hoarding. And it's not really about storage space. It's about identity. Deleting the record feels like deleting the possibility that things could have gone differently. But that's exactly the trap this whole episode has been about. Real memory, the healthy kind, is supposed to let the sting fade while keeping the lesson. A world that remembers everything with equal weight forever isn't wise. It's just heavy. If you're sitting on a folder of old trade screenshots, a savings app tracking a mistake from 3 years ago, a group chat you keep rereading about a business deal that went bad, that's not diligence. That's you manually building your own hyperthymesia. One unnecessary save at a time. The healthiest investors and the healthiest people aren't the ones with perfect recall of every loss. They're the ones who can hold on to the lesson and let the specific pain quietly expire. So here's a genuinely strange piece of advice from a channel about worst-case scenarios. This week, delete one screenshot of a financial regret you've been carrying around. Just one. See how it feels to let a number stop mattering. And tell us in the comments what's the next world without you want us to break down. Subscribe if your brain, unlike this one, still knows how to let things go.